Welcome to Our Own Voice, a partnership in mental health awareness in cooperation with NAMI Wichita and KSN Community Radio. NAMI is a National Alliance on Mental Illness. We are the largest grassroots advocacy network for people with mental illness and their family members, with over 800 national affiliates and 13 Kansas affiliates, with NAMI Wichita being one of those 13. We provide awareness, support, education, and advocacy for people affected by mental illness. Our purpose here is to provide a community conversation on KSN Radio that gives insight into what it's like to live with mental illness. Our intention and our hope is that our program will change attitudes, assumptions, and stereotypes about people with mental health conditions, and in so doing, we will stop the stigma associated with mental illness. My name is David Larson. I'm very pleased and proud to be your host today, and I'm a person living with mental illness. I'm in recovery for major depressive disorder. Like everyone, I struggle with the ups and downs of emotions and the challenges of being fully human, but I am doing great. And I know I have many gifts to offer my family, my friends, and my community. Now, before I get too far in the program, I want to introduce David Peterson, our executive producer. Hello, David.
Hello, David.
And someone who is new to our team is Kara. Hello, Kara.
Hello.
How are you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Doing great. And a big hello to our technical producer, Matthew. Hello, Matthew.
Hello, David.
So Matthew will be helping us and making sure that I sound good on the air. So Matthew, do I sound good on the air?
You sound wonderful on the air.
Wonderful. Wow. And I paid him for that. So there. And speaking of our guest now, it is my pleasure to introduce our guest for today, and that is Kari.
Hi,
Hello,
David.
Kari.
Hi, David.
And now this is going to sound confusing because we have Kari and Kara, but I think my enunciation will work, that I can separate the two. And if I can't, then I'll point. So our listeners won't see me pointing, but hopefully I get the pointing right. So, all right. Well, Kari, let me start out by asking you the question that we ask everyone, and that is, where were you born and where did you grow up?
I was born and raised here in Wichita.
Wonderful.
Yes. Yep.
Okay. And so what high school did you graduate from, and what was their mascot?
I graduated from Home of the Eagles. It was a small Christian school that no longer exists, Wichita
Okay.
Christian Center.
Okay. So, now Mike, when he was in the room, he would say, I knew that, so I bet you would have surprised him on that one. So Mike, if you are listening to this when we air, then you can say you didn't know that. Haha. So, all right. Well, so Kari, why do I have you in our recording studio today? Because you are a family member who has someone close to you that has a mental health condition. Is that correct?
That is correct. I am the mother of a beautiful 24-year-old son who is mentally ill, untreated, and NAMI's become part of our family.
Okay. So now that you brought in NAMI, let's go ahead and go with that. No, completely okay. So when did you first encounter the work of NAMI and the National Alliance on Mental Illness?
It has been a year and a half ago.
A year and a half.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so it was, I assume, was your son going through crisis at the time?
He was.
And so you were in turn going through crisis as such. And so it was a way of helping you, hopefully?
Yes, and education.
Education. Okay.
Definitely.
So I'm betting that you probably took a family-to-family class.
I did.
And can you attest to our listeners that it is a free class?
It is a free class, and you learn so much that you never even thought of knowing.
Yeah. So can I ask, what is your son's diagnosis?
Paranoid schizophrenic.
Paranoid schizophrenic. Okay. So is he currently managed right now in recovery?
No, he is not.
He is not.
He is
Okay. So he's still struggling, which is a struggle for you as well, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
But you are hanging in there, and you are a strong person because you made it from one day to the next, and you're a go-getter.
Yes.
Now, I say all that because you're also a family-to-family teacher, are you not?
I am. I just got my certification in September, and I'm co-teaching a class now with a few of our amazing people.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. And let's see, that class is on which week?
We're going to do class 10 tonight.
Class 10, so you will have 2 more classes because it's a 12-week course.
Correct.
The old program is a 12-week course.
Correct.
And
we're still in the 12-week one.
Right.
Yes.
We will be starting a new program next year, I think. Sometime next year. I haven't heard the ins and outs of it yet.
I think I heard fall
Of next year.
2020.
Okay. So yeah. So and the new program will be reduced to 8 weeks. So somehow they're going to cram 12 weeks of information, which is a lot of information anyway, into 8 weeks, and that's
Yes.
going to be tough.
Yes.
Well, I've been jabbering away here, and I have got to take a break here and say this is Our Own Voice on KSUN Community Radio. We are talking with Kari, and we are going to take a quick break and be right back. Welcome back to Our Own Voice, a partnership in mental health awareness in cooperation with NAMI Wichita and KSUN Community Radio. NAMI is the National Alliance on Mental Illness. Our Own Voice is intended to humanize the misunderstood, highly stigmatized topic of mental illness by showing that it's possible and common to live well with a mental health condition. So, Kari, at the break, we were talking about some things. I wanted to ask you, do you have other family members besides your son who has a mental health condition?
No.
Okay.
I do not.
So just your son. And again, your son's diagnosis is paranoid schizophrenia.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And I wanted to bring Kara in on this because, Kara, your diagnosis is schizoaffective disorder.
Schizoaffective disorder, that's right.
Right. And would one of you two like to share the difference between schizophrenia and schizoaffective?
Well, I'll jump in.
Okay.
I know that schizoaffective disorder is schizophrenia with a mood disorder like depression or bipolar disorder.
Okay.
And mine happens to be bipolar.
Okay.
So bipolar schizophrenia.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's see. Back to family class.
Yes.
About how many participants do you have in the family class that you are currently working with?
I believe there's about 15. You have some that can't make it every week, that sort of thing.
Right.
About 15. And the thing about these classes, this family to family classes, the safety and the security of knowing that you're not by yourself, because it is you do feel alone on as a family member, you feel alone, and the class, the environment is safe, and I would say there's a lot of empathy.
Yeah. Very good.
I'm going to add that with kind of piggyback on that, Kara, that all of NAMI's programs or support groups are just highly confidential.
Yes.
What's said in those programs or those classes stays in those programs or classes.
Right. And I wanted to underscore that that to echo something from our webpage. When you go to our webpage, you see the very first screen. It says, "You are not alone."
Mm-hmm.
And I want to underscore that because you are not alone. No matter what you are experiencing, no matter who it is in your family that is experiencing something, there are people that are willing to help, and those people happen to be within NAMI.
Absolutely.
So, what else can we share about family to family? What is the rough breakdown as to how the courses flow from week to week?
Shoot.
Yeah, I'm sorry to put you on the spot
it's okay.
like
It's
that.
okay. I've got David, and I know he was one of my teachers when I took my.
Oh,
family
really?
class.
Okay.
Yeah, he was. So he can help me kind of. You learn about the brain, the medications. You learn about communicating with
Yeah.
with my son. I've learned so much about communicating with him that is priceless. I mean, I can't even express to you how important that is. Um, what else?
Well, I think the communications is one
Yeah.
of the big things because so often we have a tendency as parents to say, get up off your
Right.
and get to work, or do this or do that, instead of NAMI will give us some ideas on how to communicate with that person by your understanding where they are. And as Kara mentioned earlier, the empathy part. Once you have the empathy, then you can communicate more effectively.
Speaking of empathy and communication, I do know that during the family to family course, there is a time when two peers will come in and do an inner own voice presentation for you.
Yes.
Have you had that experience yet, or is that coming up?
That's coming up.
That's coming up.
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. Um, I I can't wait to find out how it works out for you. So
I am excited about it. When they did it in the class that I took, that I was in the class,
uh-huh.
it was wonderful.
Good.
It was really
Good,
wonderful.
good. Yeah, that's always good to hear. I'm a trained inner own voice presenter. We have several. In fact, we have about I think we have about 5 or 6 here in Wichita that are trained, and we come out in pairs. And this is another program of NAMI's where that's actually embedded within the family to family course.
Yes.
That uh, two peers present along with a video presentation their own story of to what is happening in their lives, what did happen, and what's next. So,
Yes.
yeah. So, and in fact, we sort of patterned our radio show off of that. That's why our radio show is our own voice, and that presentation is in our own voice. So, well, it's time for me to take another break. So I'm going to say this is our own voice on Case and Community Radio. We are talking with Kari about mental illness. We're going to take a quick break and be right back.
If you would like to learn more about the National Alliance on Mental Illness and how you can get involved in mental health advocacy, please visit our website at nami.org.
Welcome back to Our Own Voice, a partnership in mental health awareness in cooperation with NAMI Wichita and Kaysen Community Radio. NAMI is the National Alliance on Mental Illness. Now, Kari, during the break, Matthew brought up an interesting question, and Matthew, go ahead and ask that question now.
What are some of the foods that you would recommend for, schizophrenia? Is that what it is?
It is.
And then any mental illness in general, or mental health issues in general.
Well, so not being like a dietitian, I am one of those Google people that I do a lot of research on what's going to be good for brain health is what I look for.
Yes.
With my son, I will order his groceries for him, and I try to stick with those foods that, that I've read are good for brain health. A lot of fish, green vegetables, and that's basically what I do. I try not to do anything that's like highly processed, that sort of thing. We don't know what effects it has on our bodies long term for us, for me. And so I just try to keep him eating healthy foods.
I'm a real big proponent for probiotics, and I like my yogurt. I like my kefir, and for those people who don't know what kefir is, KEFIR, it is sort of a drinkable yogurt. But it has multiple strains of probiotic bacteria as well as probiotic yeast in it.
Yeah.
And but it helps regulate gut health, and in fact, to piggyback on that, and I don't mean to grab what you were talking about, but uh, 85%, I believe, of all of the serotonin that we get in our system is produced in our guts.
Really?
And so if serotonin, which is the chemical that regulates your brain mood and everything, is in your brain, it's producing it in your gut, and so it's getting carried from your gut to your brain. So you've got to have healthy foods to
Yeah.
help get that serotonin manufactured.
Absolutely. Interesting.
So what other foods?
Specifically, I try to think of what, I mean, fish. I send him a lot of salmon. I try to.
Love salmon.
Salmon. He loves
Yes.
salmon, and he'll eat broccoli. He'll eat a lot of broccoli. If I don't watch what he purchases or buys, he'll buy chips and things like that. I try
Yeah.
to keep all of that out of it. My goal or my hope would be that at some point my son would have insight to his illness. Right now he has none.
Okay.
And
Can you share with us that word that goes with that?
anosognosia,
Yeah.
and it is a lack of insight.
Which is common with a lot of people with schizoaffective.
Very, very common. And my dream would be to get him to a point where he does have the insight to the health of his brain, and then I could get him to a dietitian, and he could, because I believe that if you can see, what the effects, the positive effects and the negative effects of food have, I believe that he would comply and want to eat healthy.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's very important. And along with eating healthy, there's exercising, which unfortunately, as you can tell, I don't do the exercise like I should, but also sleeping. Sleeping is also very important,
Yes.
and especially reducing the stress in your life. Would you agree, Kara?
It is very difficult to regulate those parts of your life when you are deep in a psychotic episode. It's for lack of a better term, it's like you're not taking care of yourself. You're not
Yeah.
showering, you're not eating properly, you're not sleeping properly. Your mind is constantly racing. It just does a number on your body,
Yeah,
on your
very
overall
true.
health.
Very, very true. So let's see, what else can we talk about here?
I want to know how Kari copes and how she.
Oh, very good question. How do you cope? What are some of your coping skills?
For me, the the advocacy part is huge. I do want the mom who next year is told that her son has paranoid schizophrenia. I want her to know about the places she can go to be safe and feel like she can talk about this, and so that's a big part of my self-care. And then just
Weren't you during our class getting involved in yoga?
yeah, I do yoga
Excellent.
often.
And I want to piggyback on something that you told me before the program, that you get up at 4 o'clock in the morning.
I do. It's
you-
such a peaceful time
Yeah.
of the day.
and that's sort of your unwind time, isn't it? Wonderful. Well, I need to take our third break here. This is Our Own Voice on KSUN Community Radio. We are talking with Kari, and we're going to take a quick break and be right back. Welcome back to Our Own Voice, a partnership in mental health awareness in cooperation with NAMI Wichita and KSN Community Radio. NAMI is the National Alliance on Mental Illness. David, I want to turn to you now and ask for those that wonderful number that is our answering number, our message number.
For information?
Yes, for information, as well as the web address.
Well, the number is 316-686-1373.
Or the way that I like to hear it.
316-686-1373.
Exactly.
So, either way, you're going to get you'll get a message to leave your message, and we will return the call as soon as possible. And it's if you have a crisis, do not call this number, either the crisis center or 911. But please, if you would like to know more about NAMI programs, the classes that Kari is teaching, or the peer-to-peer class that you're teaching, give that number a call, and we will give you the information that we have. Also, we have support groups, and these support groups are at no charge also. And every third Tuesday of the month, we have support groups for those living with a mental illness and also family members. So come to 1010 North Main, where we have our programs on the first and third Tuesdays. We also have a fourth Tuesday at the
College Hill
United
Methodist
Methodist
Church.
Church.
Yes.
But you can also reach us at www.namiwichita.org, or go to info at namiwichita.org. Or you can go to our Facebook page, and we have a lot of ways to communicate with you.
Now, one of the up-and-coming groups that we have that Kara is a member of, not Kari, but Kara, and that is our craft group, where Kara and I get to enjoy ourselves by just making crafts and having a fun time. So, well, Kari, back to you. I want to ask you, who is your hero or heroine?
So right now, it changes all the time.
That's completely okay.
Right now, it is truly all of the people that I have met in this family-to-family class. I have seen a group of very strong people, and unbelievably strong, and their loved ones are equally as brave. And it's an amazing group of people, and there's a lot of strength there, and they are there for each other, and they're there to make it's a voice on both sides of it. I don't like saying both sides, because it is one side. Everybody there is a team,
Yeah.
and it's right now, those are my heroines and
Okay.
heroes, for sure.
Excellent. Yeah. I have to interject. I was at the NAMI Kansas conference this past weekend.
Yeah.
And one of the keynoters, who I happen to know from the national convention that I went to this past summer, his name is Micah Pearson. And he is an amazing artist, which I didn't know, both digital artwork as well as music. And he has even written a book. And I have to rank him up there as one of my heroes now, because he has survived amazing troubles just to rise up and become stronger.
Wow.
So
Wow.
yeah. So let's see. What other? Oh, I know what I was going to ask. So help our listeners understand that every person with a mental health condition can hope for a brighter future. In other words, what words of hope can you share with us about those who are living with a mental illness?
I believe, as I've heard a lot of times over the last few years, there is always hope. There's a lot of dark times. Somehow we always get through them. And there is always hope. I had mentioned during the break, if you look back at 10 years ago, the differences in medication and research, you're starting to see a lot more research being done. So on both sides of it, medically and emotionally, there is always hope.
Yes, I agree. In fact, okay, David and Kara, you're going to have to try to jog my memory in the support group meetings, because the family support group and the connections, which is a peer support group, is the same. Really fast, not the same as in. But anyway, we use this.
Simultaneous.
Yeah, we use the same information, but there is a sheet or something about what is what stages of struggles you're going
Emotional
through.
struggles.
Emotional
Stages.
Yes, emotional
Yes.
stages of support.
Yes.
And really fast, it says at the bottom of each one of those emotional stages, hope. Hope beyond hope, hope within hope, hope. So, with that, I need to call us to a close and say thank you for joining us for Our Own Voice on Case and Community Radio. Thank you to Kari for talking with us about mental illness, and join us for our next Our Own Voice program.
Thank you.